Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about these radical leftists who are losing their minds a lot in the past few weeks specifically. It's been happening pretty much since 2016. We've been covering it on this channel for 4 years now, but specifically this week, things have been getting really out of control. First, there was the event in Minneapolis that caused a lot of chaos, a lot of bad demonstrations gone wrong, damages, causing riots, things getting on fire, stuff like that. And in addition to that, what caused that was all this race baiting, these claims of racism that are largely unproven. Just a lot of people upset and complain about racism, all of them liberals and Democrats. And it's causing a lot of like stress and just bad vibes on their side. Like they're getting really negative. They think everything's bad. And I really do feel bad sometimes for some of these people that get suckered in. Like they get really kind of duped. And that's another reason why we say it's like a cult-like behavior. Like they're acting like this religion is religion for them. They're religiously believing in this racism that's everywhere, but they don't have proof for it. So they have to just believe in it. They have faith. And that's a lot like things in religions, like in, say, Christianity or Judaism. Like there's a lot of things you have to take on faith. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with faith or religion in itself. There's a lot of good things about those groups, about Christianity and Catholics and stuff. I mean, they all have their failings as well. But the point is, this cult-like behavior, cults are worse than religions. They have similarities, but they're also way, way more to the extreme. They usually have a very charismatic leader who kind of uses this cult of personality to get them in. In this case, the left doesn't really have just one of those. They have a few figures like the Nancy Pelosi's, the Joe Bidens, AOC is kind of similar. And they have these kinds of leaders that lead their people through fear. They're also scaring them. And this reminds me of a lot of things that are similar to cults. And the one example I have in my head, this isn't a real one, but I'm thinking of that show, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's on Netflix. I just started it just a few weeks ago. I heard it was good, and then I realized it was the redhead from The Office who's really cute and really funny. And I started watching it, and this reminded me of it because she actually starts off in the beginning of the show, not to spoil too much, but the whole premise in the intro is she was in a cult for 15 years and she lived in a bunker with a couple of other girls who thought the world was ending outside. And then she finally gets out. And that's how the show starts. That's a good premise. You know, I think it's funny and it's a good setup. And maybe if you guys are interested now, you could watch it. But I'm not here to promote that show. I'm not sponsored by anything. I'm just saying it because you saw the cult stuff happen, and the part of it is they're scaring them. They get them scared and keep them on edge and have these things, and they have to believe everything their leader says based on faith. There's no evidence. There's no proof that there's some monster outside or there's some nuclear apocalypse outside your bunker. Or in this case, there's no proof of this like racism everywhere. Like, oh, this is racist. This is racist. This is bad. This is bad. They don't have any proof. And that's what's getting us to today's topic in today's video. Let's jump right into it. This is a crazy, unstable girl who seems to just be totally brainwashed by this whole thing. And Ian Miles Chong has a good introduction to it. He says, this may in fact be one of the funniest or saddest videos you'll watch today. It's funny because holy S, cringe, sad because this is the absolute devolution of humanity into cult-like madness. Yeah. So that's why I gave the preface and the intro about the cult-like stuff and it being so kind of eye-opening. You're just scared. You see these people, and then this girl is going to break down. She's very unstable. She's very like creepy. Like, oh my God, she goes so over the top here. And it provides good content, sure, but you also get to a point where you're like worried about her. You're like, dude, is this chick gonna be okay? Like, is she gonna survive this? Like, what is her deal? Like, why are these guys so doom and gloom, like life or death? Like, everything is such a end of days thing for them. I mean, I know some things are serious and some things are to worry about, but if you really think this racism is out there, I mean, how bad is it? Like, where are all the bad things? I know that one person died in Minneapolis, but you're acting like millions are dying every day. Like there's some kind of crazy event that's killing lots and lots of people. And that's actually what's referenced here. Here they reference this event from World War II where millions of people died. And they're acting like that's happening now, but it's just not the case. It's not that bad. I could admit there might be like some minor racist things in the world. There always is going to be like offensive, bad, mean people. But as far as overall, at large, like they're highly overblowing this. And you can see this girl has taken it way too hard. and she's really troubled. You could tell she's got a very, very toxic mindset. So it has 1.2 million views. Let's go ahead and check out what this video says.
No, I'm not exactly the voice that people need to be hearing right now. In fact, I need more confirmation that this is real. I've gotten some, but I need more confirmation that this is real.
He's already breaking down. Oh my God, I can barely talk. And now I kind of see this as a performance now too, because keep in mind, I mean, she knows she's filming herself. She whips out her camera when she's about to cry. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing to do already. We've seen a lot of these kinds of videos. I think the last round we went over was when a couple of nurses were doing this during the pandemic, and they would film themselves crying, trying to get attention and trying to hype things up and make it look worse. In this case, it's another situation. Same thing though, same kind of thing, different smell. Now we got another girl on another, I believe it's TikTok too. I don't know. This might be like Facebook Live actually. So another live stream, and they get the camera out when they're already crying. They're like breaking down. I mean, I don't know if we actually see tears here, because a lot of times these guys, they can't actually produce the tears. They're not professional actors. They could just like make the noises and the faces and oh my God, I'm not the right person to tell you this. Oh my God. And that's another thing that I really don't like. I really am against this whole I'm not the right person to speak here. Like, I can't speak on this because I'm white. It's basically what they're saying. It's an anti-white thing. It's like white guilt personified. And that's the one thing that's also really messing with me in this intro. It's the fact that, oh, I'm not the right person to say this. And then she says it anyway, but she's trying to preference it like, oh, I know I'm white. You know, I'm white. You know, I don't know. I don't get it. But it's like, dude, white, black, brown, Asian, whatever. Like, we get it. We can understand racism just because we're not you. Like, does that mean that black people can't understand white people's feelings and stuff? Like, I don't think they would agree that's both ways, but they always bring this up, and it's just kind of their way to say, hey, you don't know, you're wrong, like you don't understand. And it's like what they would say to us, or like other conservatives, other anti SJWs. They just try to silence you and say, hey, you don't understand because you're not me. But it's like, just explain it. Like, give me the facts. Like, we can understand it. We're adults. We can process interest and feelings and what's going on, events, empathy. Like, it's not like as complicated as they claim. They act like it's some special thing, like they're speaking another language, but it's really not that much.
Trump supporters got an email that said that this email is for patriots only. You've been identified as one of President Trump's fiercest and most loyal defenders, and according to your donor file, you'd make an excellent addition to the Trump army. It goes on to tell them that they would get a limited edition camo Keep America Great hat.
What? Why would that make her cry so much? I don't know how she got this email, by the way. It sounds like she signed up for Trump emails too. But all it said was, join the Trump army, you could get a hat. How is that so scary to her? Look at this face. What is so scary about a Trump hat? Like, this is clearly someone who has been brainwashed and thinks Trump is some kind of villain. Like, she thinks Trump is like a villain in a Bond movie, like petting his cat, or, you know, Goldfinger, like covered in gold or something. Like, she really thinks that. And it's just so cringe. It's so funny to watch, but it's also troubling. It's like, okay, for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's troubling to see someone this broken and this kind of unstable, and then they're posting this on the internet like they think this is a good idea. She thinks this might make her or her cause look better. It makes them look worse though. It makes her look unstable and, you know, off her kilter, like kind of like crazy. Like, she's not grown up enough. Like, I don't know how young she is. Like, she looks like she's at least 20 or something. I mean, I don't think she's too young. Maybe even 25. I'm not sure, but yeah, it makes her look immature, weak, and it makes their side look like they're exploiting this. Like, she's trying to cry on camera. I don't see any tears though. It's just kind of like a performance. And then the other thing that gets me about this is it's not really making their side look good. I mean, it's making them look like they're going to break down over an email about hats. Oh, red hats are really not going to trigger you that much. So now you want us to follow your side because you're just crying? Like, it's all emotional. It's all about pulling in emotions. There's no facts. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, oh, here's someone crying on camera. You better listen to them because they're crying. And yeah, I want to feel bad. Like, I want to kind of have some sympathy. I'm not a monster, but this is just too phony and too biased for me to even take seriously.
To let them know that you are the president's first line of defense when it comes to fighting off the liberal mob. I don't know if you know.
So before we get to that, she's going to say, I don't know if you know something, but there are liberal mobs. I mean, this isn't even an exaggeration anymore. I mean, perhaps she could say like the Trump army could sound like a little confrontational, but that's just a name. It's just like you're joining the Trump band, you're joining the Trump group, you're joining the Trump army. It's just trying to get them organized, you know? And the next thing is they go off on the liberal mob, and you could have maybe said that was exaggeration like a few weeks ago. Like I know some people have said liberals are mob mentality. We've always thought that for a long time. But now we're talking about they're literally mobbing in the streets. They're literally gathering and doing these crazy demonstrations, going wrong, forming these groups. They're circling cops and like intimidating them. They're going and forming mobs. Like this is a literal thing we've seen. We've seen it time and time again, over and over. So any denial of this, any kinds of pretending it's not true, I mean, it's really, really not fair. It's this denying reality. Like this chick is totally sheltered, totally off her kilter. She's not thinking clearly, and she's also putting on this little performance that's cringy as hell.
Hitler made Jews wear yellow stars. This feels like the reverse of that.
What? Oh my god, this is like the worst ending, like the worst anticlimactic ending. It doesn't make any sense. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. So she mentions this issue in World War II where a very bad man made a certain group he didn't like wear this yellow star. And that was to kind of like, you know, label them. You could see them and point them out and see this is the group that they don't like. Okay, that's bad. Obviously, no one would defend that. This is a terrible person in a terrible group in a terrible time in history. But it has nothing to do with Trump people wearing red hats. Like they're choosing to wear those red hats. They are wearing them in honor. They're wearing them as respect. And they're saying, oh, I want to keep America great. I want to make America great. I want to support my president. This is all voluntary. This is all positive. There's no victim here. And that's why I don't get this ending. This whole thing is based on this too. Like the whole reason she's getting upset and crying and freaking out is saying she thinks she's basically trying to say Trump is a villain, like I was saying earlier, but she wanted to compare him to Hitler. She's like, Trump's Hitler. That's the whole video here. And it's not at all. It's like the reverse of that. You can't reverse the yellow star thing. Like there's no reverse in this way. Like reverse is, it just doesn't make any sense. Like these people are choosing to wear hats. It's not labeling a bad group. It's just this chick is just not that smart, and she's trying to make a comparison to a bad person, and that's all this is. It's an insane person wrapped up in liberal indoctrination, wrapped up in this propaganda they can't see clearly, and we've seen them very, very badly break down. And the funniest part is they shared this with us. They thought this was a good point or a good thing to put on the internet, and it's just really bad, and it makes their side look bad too. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also hit that like button to help us get shared. And until next time, you guys have a great day.